right, good morning. It's Friday, August 6th. Let's go take a look at the S&P 500. So we had non-farm payroll today. Not even sure what that means. Farmers are people, and pretty sure they're a big part of the economy. Not sure who came up with this statistic, but it is apparently something they track. So this was non-farm payroll this morning, 8:30 Eastern time, and we see we got a pretty nice spike. Let's go back and look at yesterday. We had our last live training yesterday, and so we did not have a pre or post-market video. We covered all of that with the training with our members. And if you haven't done that training, you're missing out. And so you can go do that. There's a link below this video and you can go sign up for that. Or you can keep guessing, or you can have short targets that you know the market's going to trade to and then know where to get in. Either way, so let's look at yesterday. I'm not going to change the prediction points, but basically I drew this from here to there back to what was the KP right here. That was at the end of the day. This is a very big push. If you've been in the course, then you know these are the kinds of things that we're looking for. We love when they break like this. This is a really good leg, gives a really good target, highly likely to be achieved. That target right here is 29.75. High of NFP, 29.50. So within one tick of the target, they pulled back. Where did they pull back to? I lied. I am going to change to yesterday's prediction points. So we're changing to yesterday's prediction points. Where do they pull back to? Right there, the KP to the tick. So there hasn't been a lot going on right here. So we're going to dive into this. And I waited a little bit here on purpose so we could take a look at this. So right here, this is the thing that we have been wanting. So I wanted to get this before we did the video here so we could talk about this. So there you go, 37.75. Okay, that's the target that we get here from breaking the KP right there. So if you, if you've been following anything about what we're doing, you know where that came from. So that would be target one. And then I have pointed out that this is target one over here from yesterday. Target two would be 42 quarters. So definitely something to keep an eye on. And I want to put this here in map. So bear with me. Okay. So they came back, they break the KP, they come back to there. We know we have this target up here at 37. That's about 9 points or so from right there. To me, that's the kind of trade that I want to see. If they were to keep going, we really just need to keep measuring any breaks. But this is going to be a good something that we can lean on, and that's going to be something that we can lean on, that 42 quarter. If you look right here, this 32.50, you can see we had these from yesterday. These were measurements that I took off of yesterday's prediction points before we got this really good one. But these are still there. So these are kind of an interim price. And you can see that's T4. T4 tends to be relative. They're all fairly important. T4 tends to be really important. And so watching this area for sure, there's a lot going on here. 37.75, 38.5, 39.25. And then obviously this 42 quarter. But let's just see, can they break and can we remeasure off of these prediction points? That's really what we're looking for. So we're at all-time highs right now. Currently, this is the all-time high that we see here this morning. And the question is, can you, can you have I don't know what it's like for a lot of traders that aren't using prediction points or aren't using the methodology that we use here at Day Trade Like a Pro, but I don't really care ever that it's a new all-time high. It's meaningless to me. I'm using prediction points and then what the market's telling me around those levels to do everything that I'm doing. So I don't care if we're at all-time highs or if it's been trading in the same range for 10 years. It's all the same thing. And some people, I think, get in their head and think we're at all-time highs. They don't know what to do. They don't know where the market's going. It's just not like that for us. We know where the targets are, and we trade from one particular price to another particular price. So that's the value of mapping things out and knowing all of that stuff in advance. One other thing I want to show you here on the NASDAQ. I'm just going to get rid of this because there's a lot going on here. Right here. So get rid of this here. So let's just look at the NASDAQ here. And we don't spend a ton of time looking at the NASDAQ, but let's do that just briefly here. There we go. Got rid of that one. All right. So if you look right here, you can see I measured from this right here where we eventually broke here and broke below this KP right here, and I measured this back to the KP. So the way I measured this was if we go look at a lower time frame. I typically use 5 minutes. I think throughout the course I didn't really use anything other than 5 minutes, but this is something because we'd gone so low on the NASDAQ, and I wanted to see how far are we going to potentially come back through here. So I measured from here down to there. This is just a 1 minute, and then back up to there, and that gave us 82.75, and then the low here was 83, so within a tick of that. And then let's go back over to a 5 minute. And of course they came back and they hit one price to the tick right there. Okay, so now I measured here. This is the low off 83 up to right there, and then back to right there. So that gives us target one. Let me move. You can see why I end up moving these. I like to see what price they're at, but I also don't want that covering up what's happening here. And then let's see here. So I'm measuring right here off of that break coming back to the prediction point. That gives us 49.25. So they achieved all of that. So the other way we can measure, we can look from here to there and then back to right there. And that's going to give us something down here at 52.75. So that's kind of interesting. So things have been relatively weak here on the NASDAQ overnight and then this morning especially. So we'll see how that kind of all sorts out. But basically achieved this target. What was the high here? 50. And we had 49.25. So within 3 ticks. And then last thing, oh yeah, so this is interesting. So last thing here is on looking at crude. This is 70.33. So crude's really interesting. The options market is watching this 70 today, right around 70. A lot of options, whether option sellers make money or not, is going to be dependent on what happens at 70. The market needs to close above 70 today, or option sellers are going to get destroyed. And 84% of the time the market's going to close in here above this. So if that can't happen, I think it's going to get interesting here in crude. So if you're a crude oil trader, that's something to look for. And then all I did here is I just measured, I mean, fairly simple. I just took, I measured right there, down to right there, and back up to right there. And that gave us this right there. But since then, and then I measured over here, this was a nice break. So this should be pretty reliable. I expect that crude's going to come back up here unless the bottom just absolutely falls out of it. So then this is actually this is a pretty nice move right here. So let's see what that gives us. So that would line up well with the KP down here. So somewhere either here or down in this area, you can see they're using this right here. So this is the kind of thing I like to see when I draw something like this in. See how there's T1 right here? And they come right off of this. Really good reaction. Way more so than this one. So we'll see what happens here. That'll give us some information, but really good reaction right here off T1. I would expect at least a similar kind of reaction here off of T2. So we'll see how that all plays out, but if they can't get back up above here on crude and close out the week strong, there's going to be a lot of option sellers getting absolutely destroyed. 70.36, 70.33 if you measure it that way. So I expect that crude will try and make a recovery and bounce back up there, but this is going to be interesting to see what happens here. If they break that, we'll measure it. We can go with something more. There's 200, 300. I'm not sure how far this could come and then still rally by the end of the day. So, but for the time being, nice short off of the CP right there. And we'll see if they can, if you're trading for that higher target over here, this is a nice buy off of there. That ends up moving about 50 ticks. Doesn't quite get to the target, but stalls out in front of right here. So again, this is pretty much what we saw right here. They didn't really respect this all that much, didn't really respect this all that much. They might just touch here and then drop down to here. And then we'll see what happens right here. Probably won't hang around for that, but we'll see how that goes. Let's go take a look over at the NASDAQ. So NASDAQ continues to be weak, it appears, and this is really not out of the question that they come down here to this 53 3/4, 52 3/4. And then 32.50 was kind of the best thing we had up in this area from yesterday. We got to 33 3/4, so 3 ticks above that. Pulling back here. On the S&P, watch this 22.75, I think was the high of yesterday. So 22.75, 22.50. Watch that area. If that doesn't hold, then there's a bit of room we can pull back down into here. And if that doesn't hold, maybe the NFP stuff was just, this spike was just kind of due to that, and maybe there's some correction coming. But that, I'm not trying to forecast a top or tell you that, the market's crashing or something. I'd just say take it one step at a time. If they can't hold this area right here and they can't hold that for higher, then you could start to look for a potential breakdown and a move lower. So they probed this to 22 1/4. Did you see that? So I've talked about this in the course a lot, but I don't know if you saw that as it was happening. But if you saw right when it was down here, we also have a key turn price here. Those things are kind of handy. I kind of like them. Let's throw that on here so we have that. So there's key turns right there. This right there. Key turns, if you don't know about that, you can go check it out at daytradelikeapro.com under tools for traders, and key turns is one of our proprietary indicators. So right here at this key turn level, when they came down here, you could see, I don't use the tape, I don't trade the tape, that's not really my thing, it's not what I do. I've attempted to do it, I've looked at it a lot, I get a lot of traders like it, they think it's the only way to make money. I would disagree, my broker probably would disagree. And but you could see what happened down here when the market came down here. You could see that was a clear sign that they were going to try and reverse it right there. So if that wasn't going to work, so right when that happened, for me, that's the kind of place where I want to jump in that. I crushed it this morning. I don't know that I'll trade anything else. Had a really good week, probably just, unless I see something that I can't resist, I don't know that I'll do a whole lot more today. But if I'm sitting here trading, I'm waiting for that. I want to see the market comes down to this level. I'm thinking it's going to hold. And I'm not entirely sure how to even describe to you what I saw here. But basically, it just kind of, you could see there was a bit of activity that happened really quick right here. And then it just started to go right back up here. So there's about a minute, a little over a minute and a half in this 5-minute candle right here. And so we'll see how this thing kind of closes out. Generally, that last minute or first minute of that 5-minute window is, for whatever reason, you're going to typically see, if they're going to move it, it's going to be in that time frame. So I don't know that we'll want to get a candle here that has a big old long wick on it. We could see that, but yeah, this move right down here, that you could see it kind of tick down here. And if you didn't catch it, go back and rewatch this until you see what I'm talking about, because that's a pretty typical move of what I'm looking for when I'm watching for a reversal. So it's great that we were able to get that here and it was recorded. And then this is really wild what the NQ is doing here. The fact that the NASDAQ has been so weak makes me wonder if that low will actually hold there on the ES. Makes me wonder if this low will even hold. So, could be interesting. Let's look at one last thing on the NASDAQ here and then we'll wrap it up. We could call that a break. Let's put this way out over here so we can see for sure which one it is. So 64.25. So that could be, if they break, watch that. Otherwise, watch down here. If it keeps going, then we got some room that we can run. So we'll see how that all plays out. Start to get ugly a little bit below that probably. So nice reaction here. So NASDAQ's coming off of the KP right here. These markets are 94% correlated, 92% correlated, I think. So NASDAQ's coming off of the KP here. S&P's coming off of key turns, and we'll just see what. So there's the end of the. We're 20 seconds into this candle now. So I'll keep it here for a second, and we'll watch this for the next minute or two, and we'll just see how this looks like it's going to play out. So if you talk about, here's a little bonus session for you. So if you talk about from a trade management perspective, I mean, after I see what I see here, I really don't want to see the market come back down into this level. Otherwise, it's probably going to break lower. So at this point, I think it pretty much, I mean, if it ticked right around here and I could get in within a couple of ticks of the low, I have a pretty low to no risk trade on right now. And then if it comes back, I probably don't want to just keep it and turn it into a loser. And I would look for, I'm looking across, this is one time when it's, I mean, it's nice if it's there. So I'll look at it. Probably the lowest I want to see it come back is this 22.75, which is yesterday's high. That's probably the lowest I want to see it come back here. So don't want to take out this low. Now, they could come down, spike below the low, come back up. That's okay. I can get it on the other side. If it goes like this and spikes, let's say it spikes down through the level, and then it looks like, okay, the buyer's really stepped in, and then it comes up like that and back here. Great, I can buy it again right here. No problem. But my job is preserving capital. I'm managing risk. And if I have a position on here, my experience has taught me over years and years and seen this literally thousands of times. If this comes back and violates this low, I don't like it. I don't want it anymore. Could I be wrong this time? Yeah, I could be. Okay, so there's 22.75. And you can see there's a bounce. There's a reaction there. It's moving off of there. So we'll see if that's enough. Does this really have enough in it to hold right there? And that be it. And it doesn't mean, yeah, it's definitely going to hold there. It means I'm obviously not the only person looking at 22.75. And people who think that the market is not, you can't forecast or predict accurately what's going to happen. I don't think those people have met Day Trade Like a Pro and the methodology of what we do here. So we told you 22.75 or 22.50, and the low here on the swing is 22.25. So one tick, and I didn't look over my other chart that had key turns on it. Otherwise, I would have talked about key turns. So obviously, they come right off of key turns to the tick right there. But before any of that was within a tick. So it's not like a random line on a chart. We know how to use it. We know what we're doing with it. And then it comes back to 2275. But if every day you just go, well, there's yesterday's high, and that might work like, I don't know, 3 out of 5 days, 2 out of 5 days, something like that. This does not really look good to me. It doesn't look, aside I guess now I'll, tell you my own opinion of what my own experience has taught me. I don't like how this looks. It doesn't mean if I'm in it that I'm panicking out of it, but if there's buyers coming in here, I don't know what's taking them so long or what they're waiting for. So I'm kind of thinking if they can hold on for a minute, there's a minute left on this 5-minute candle. And if they can hold on for a minute, then maybe they can salvage this here and push this back up again. But if we don't see on either the end of this candle in the next 38 seconds or the very open of the next one, a pretty decent push, and we need to get back above this KP at 2850, and we don't see a pretty decent push start to happen, then there is plenty of room for a pullback that we never came back and tested this CP. We haven't been back here. Probably could argue, kind of, maybe. Here, there's plenty of room for a pullback. At a minimum, this is sort of obvious. I guess we could measure, we didn't, no, we really can't. So this is not a break. If they do bounce here, we could measure from here. So this here to there, I don't know that we're going to get it. I don't know if this will be useful or not. That'd be 1850. So they might come lower and then bounce a little bit, and then we could measure that, and that might give us a target that would be a bit lower, that would line up more with that 14 CP down there. So, but I just don't think this looks great. Higher, but there's just no buyers really coming in and really getting after it here. There's 2275 again. It's 22 quarter. It just doesn't look like, just doesn't look like there's a whole lot of buyers that are, they tried here, but there's just no real follow through. So unless I can see buyers really step in here and really start to push things, and they need to get back up above this KP. So anyway, that's I've used up all of my YouTube live time, and we'll be back here. I'll do a review today. We'll see how this all plays out. And let's go. All right, so haven't seen a whole lot here change yet. NASDAQ is weaker than the S&P, as you can see. So we'll see what happens here. We'll see how it all plays out, but you know what I'm looking for. And I will see you here later today or sometime this weekend for the review.